सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्थमीश्वरं सिद्धा स्वान्तस्थम् ईश्वरम्। नामस्मरण। सत्यस्वरूपं श्रीकृष्णरूपं सत्यस्वरूपं श्रीकृष्णरूपं असत्यस्वरूपं मम जीवभावम् असत्यस्वरूपं मम जीवभावम् नित्यस्वरूपं श्रीरामरूपं नित्यस्वरूपं श्रीरामरूपम् अनित्यस्वरूपं मम देहरूपम् अनित्यस्वरूपं मम देहरूपम् नित्यस्वरूपं शिवदेवरूपम् नित्यस्वरूपं शिवदेवरूपम् अनित्यस्वरूपं मम पञ्चप्राणम् अनित्यस्वरूपं मम पञ्चप्राणम् सत्यस्वरूपं श्रीकृष्णरूपम् असत्यस्वरूपं मम जीवभावम् ब्रह्मस्वरूपं श्रीविष्णुरूपम् ब्रह्मस्वरूपं श्रीविष्णुरूपम् भ्रमस्वरूपं मम बुद्धिचित्तम् भ्रमस्वरूपं मम बुद्धिचित्तम् ब्रह्मस्वरूपं श्रीविष्णुरूपम् ब्रह्मस्वरूपं मम बुद्धिचित्तम् भ्रमस्वरूपं मम बुद्धिचित्तम् कालस्वरूपं श्रीकालिरूपम् कालस्वरूपं श्रीकालिरूपम् कामस्वरूपं मम मनोरूपम् कामस्वरूपं मम मनोरूपम् कालस्वरूपं श्रीकालिरूपम् कामस्वरूपं मम मनोरूपम् अघोरस्वरूपं श्रीरुद्ररूपम् अघोरस्वरूपं श्रीरुद्ररूपम् घोरस्वरूपं मम अहङ्कारम् घोरस्वरूपं मम अहङ्कारम् सत्यस्वरूपं श्रीकृष्णरूपम् असत्यस्वरूपं मम जीवभावम् श्रीविद्यारूपं लक्ष्मीस्वरूपम् श्रीविद्यारूपं लक्ष्मीस्वरूपम् अविद्यास्वरूपं मम पञ्चकोशम् अविद्यास्वरूपं मम पञ्चकोशम् सत्यस्वरूपं श्रीकृष्णरूपम् असत्यस्वरूपं मम जीवभावम् लीलास्वरूपं श्रीकृष्णकृष्णम् लीलास्वरूपं श्रीकृष्णकृष्णम् केळिविनोदं श्रीकृष्णकृष्णम् केळि विनोदं श्रीकृष्ण कृष्णं लीलास्वरूपं श्रीकृष्ण कृष्णं केळि विनोदं श्रीकृष्ण कृष्णं श्रीकृष्ण कृष्णं श्रीराम रामं श्रीकृष्ण कृष्णं श्रीराम रामं शिव ब्रह्म विष्णुं श्रीराम रामं शिव ब्रह्म विष्णुं श्रीराम रामं शिव ब्रह्म विष्णुं श्रीराम रामं श्रीकृष्ण कृष्णं श्रीराम रामं श्रीकृष्ण कृष्णं श्रीराम रामं शिव ब्रह्म विष्णुं श्रीराम रामं शिव ब्रह्म विष्णुं श्रीराम रामं शिव ब्रह्म विष्णुं श्रीराम रामं श्रीराम रामं श्रीराम रामं श्रीराम रामं हरिः ओम. In order to gain the knowledge of a particular object in this world, our instrument, which is the mind, for gaining such knowledge, has to take the shape of that object. Then only gaining of such knowledge is possible. Mind takes the shape of that object, whatever the object is, in order to give knowledge of that particular object. We saw the process yesterday. There is no need to repeat that process. In the case of an ordinary object, it takes the shape of the object, and then that which takes the shape of that object is vritti, the mental mode in the shape of that particular object, which is illumined by the Chaitanya that is there in the mind. So that Chaitanya that is there in the mind, illumines the vritti, of course illumines the object also. The vritti brings about the identity between the knower and the object. So the knowledge is gained. When it is the question of Brahman as the object, now mind takes the shape of Brahman, because now Brahman is being known as the object. Earlier something else is the object of our knowledge. Now we were the subject, and then something else is the object of our knowledge. Now also, instead of a worldly object, now we are trying to know Brahman only. So Brahman has become the object. Just as the mind takes the shape of the object before it gives the knowledge to us, similarly here the mind also has to take the shape of the object which is called as Brahman. That is the reason why in the Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it is said, Manasaivaanu drashtavyam. By the mind alone it is to be seen. Mind has to take the shape of that object which is Brahman, which is available in the Upanishads. So now that is the object of our knowledge. So, Manasaivaanu drashtavyam. By the mind alone, it is to be seen. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Now, what is this object here? Object is Brahman. What is the nature of Brahman? Self-luminous. It is Swayam Prakasha. Ordinary objects in the world are not Swayam Prakasha, not self-luminous. They derive the illumination. They are illumined by consciousness. But here the object is self-revealing self of the very knower. The knower who is there, when I am saying knower, as a limited mind I am saying the knower, and that which is behind the knower is the illumining principle. Whatever it is, the jiva has the mind, so jiva is saying I am the knower. But here the object is self-revealing self, Swayam Prakasha Atma of the knower. Here the object is different. Here it is Swayam Prakasha Atma of the knower only. It is the very Atma of that which is trying to know. That also self-revealing self. So, because it is the self-revealing self of the knower itself, there is no need for mind or the reflection in the mind to reveal it. Is there any need for mind to reveal it? Reflection in the mind to reveal it? Because it is self-revealing. The object here is self-revealing. So where is the need for mind to reveal it? Where is the need for reflection in the mind to reveal it? Because it is self-revealing. Other objects are not self-revealing, so these are needed to reveal. It is self-revealing. So, in another Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, it is said, Yan manasa namanute. What by the mind cannot be known. Nice, no? Two statements. What by the mind cannot be known. How can it be known by the mind? Because mind itself is not Swayam Prakasha. Mind needs some other thing to illuminate. And this object which has come in front of the mind is self-revealing self of the knower. So, it is said, we have to understand it very clearly, because it is the self-revealing, the object here is the self-revealing self of the knower. When this knowledge, now as a practice in the form of the sentences of the Upanishads, Mahavakya, constantly we are contemplating upon Mahavakya, reflecting upon Mahavakya, doing the Mananam, reflection upon Mahavakya, Nididhyasanam, contemplation. Nididhyasanam also in another way means meditation upon the Mahavakya. Constantly these Mahavakyas are there. And this is continuous vritti called as Akhanda Akara vritti. Akhanda Akara, unbroken, continuous. That way we can understand this Akhanda Akara vritti. This is also called as Charama vritti. The last one, the penultimate, just before it is happening, the Charama vritti. It is the Charama vritti and also called as Akhandakara vritti. So, what happens is, when this Akhandakara vritti goes on and on and on and on and on, the part played by this Akhandakara vritti is purely negative. Meaning, it simply removes the ignorance. Akhandakara vritti, which is none other than the Mahavakyas, continuous repetition of that Mahavakyas, it removes the ignorance. With the removal of the ignorance, this mental state called as Charama vritti, which itself is a part of ignorance. It is the vritti of mind. When it is a vritti there, it itself, mind is a part of what? Ignorance, avidya. So this is a vritti which is there in the mind, continuous vritti which is there, a mental mode in the form of that object, in the shape of that object, but it is now Brahmakara vritti continuously which is repeated, this Charama vritti which is a part of avidya is also destroyed. It destroys the ignorance and it also gets destroyed. Once this happens, now see from other way, when the reflecting medium which is the mind is also gone because the ignorance is no more. When avidya is no more, the product of avidya also is no more. When the reflecting medium is gone, where is the reflection now? What we will say about the reflection? The reflection has merged back into the original. The pratibimba merged back into the bimba. That's what is the thing that can be said in language. The pratibimba, the reflection, because the reflecting medium pond, water dried up, the mirror is no more. So what happened to the reflected image here? Where did it go? Because mind understands only go. Where did it go? We have to understand. No, we are trying to understand. They have understood. So we are trying to understand. Where did it go? It merged back into the bimba from where it has come. Now, this, if we look at it from the standpoint of a space example, the conditioning of the pot is gone. So the inner space which got that name of inner space because of the pot now has merged into supreme space. We use the word merged, but actually it is not merged. It was never separated, so when it will get merged? The reflection never entered into the mirror only. It was an appearance. When did it start doing journey in a rocket and flight and jet and then enter into mirror? And then the mirror, it is gone and then it goes back. There it is. Mirror is there, it appeared. Mirror is not there. Only that which is always there as the source remains as it is. So, all the while many births, so many janmas, the fellow was claiming, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the one who is doing, dies, is no more there. When this fellow is no more there, that which is always there, will ever be there, will only be there. So, this avidya, which is the cause of bondage, is destroyed. So bondage is no more there. So this is akhandakara vritti jnana, unitary non-relational knowledge. If you have to put it in the words in English, unitary non-relational knowledge. Or in other words, akhandakara vritti jnana means unitary non-relational mental cognition. We wished bye-bye, tata, see you, better luck next time for me, and it didn't go like that. It happened, it disappeared. There is no time interval between that. Even as it arises, it is non-relational and immediate. It removes the avidya straight away. Actually, straight away it removes without any need for repeated contemplation on its content. The moola avidya, the primal avidya, is removed by the knowledge of the self. In Taittiriya Upanishad Bhashya Vartika, Sureshwaracharya says, beginningless ignorance gets removed, or beginningless ignorance is seen to be destroyed in a moment by the knowledge which has a beginning. Beginningless ignorance seems to be destroyed in a moment by the knowledge which has a beginning. And another Mahatma has given a common example, which is when we enter into the dream suddenly starts. We are already an adult in the dream, we are moving around in the dream, the street is there, the country is there, the road is there, the house is there, people are also there. Not that everything starts from kindergarten school and then we are in the crib and then it starts, then slowly we go, suddenly everything is there. So dream also can be taken as an example as beginningless. Suddenly everything is there. But when we wake up, it ends. Like that, beginningless avidya ends when we wake up. With this akhandakara vritti jnana. Now it is said by Sureshwaracharya in Taittiriya Upanishad Bhashya Vartika, from the scriptural utterances which are called as Mahavakyas, there arises a cognition. He has taken an example. This cognition is, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. There arises a cognition. Why? Because of scriptural utterances, constantly listening to these things, which destroys the ignorance. I am Brahman. See, I am doesn't mean the ego is Brahman. I am means the Vachyartha might be the person who is saying, but the Lakshartha, the implied meaning is the inner self which is supporting, the inner self which is illumining this ego. The inner self which is illumining this ego is Brahman. That is always Brahman. The ego will never become Brahman. The ego will fall because it is the product of avidya. Avidya is destroyed by the unitary non-relational mental cognition or the scriptural utterances which are in the form of cognition. That is I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. That Brahman which is supreme space, and then this I am which is the inner pot space. So the pot is telling I am Brahman. The pot in the statement I am Brahman, it is not the pot. I am means the implied meaning inside, that is inner self is supreme self. Inner space is supreme space. I am means inner self which is illumining principle. This illumining self-luminous inner self is supreme self. This jiva is supreme self. The original nature of the jiva is not different from Brahman. The inner self is supreme self. That is what is the real meaning here. I am Brahman means. I am Brahman doesn't mean mind is Brahman. I am Brahman doesn't mean ego is Brahman and all that. So here. So then what happens? It's, along with the ignorance, this cognition also. Who is having this cognition? Mental cognition. This mind is having this cognition. Because this cognition is a cognition where the original nature of the mind is understood, original nature of the ego is understood. It is asatya, it is not at all their product of avidya. So now what is understood here? Oh, I am Brahman. That is understood. A constant repetition that is realized. So then, because the ignorance goes away and this mental cognition also goes away. This cognition I am Brahman also goes away. That doesn't remain. There is no more cognition I am Brahman. Brahman doesn't go on telling I am Brahman. Like when you are sure whether you are a man or a woman, you don't need to tell I am a man, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a woman. Will you tell every time you go there and hello, I am a woman, hello, I am a man? You know what you are, so there is no need to repeat. That is all. What else is there? So, somebody asked Gurudev, are you a realized man? Gurudev said, if I say if I am realized, you can't understand. Because there are no things which can be perceived by your mind. Like two horns or a big tail there. So longer the tail, greater the realization. Bigger the horns, greater the realization. So if I tell also, you can't understand. So realized can't be proved to you. Man, I can prove, but decency prevents me from proving. So that is what, see, he says it in a different tone altogether, because your mind cannot understand. You have to have that faith and go ahead with it. Intellectually you can comprehend the truth. That's all. Suddenly coming, are you realized man? Realized man never claims he is a realized man. There is no need to claim. To whom he is claiming? Products of avidya, who can never understand. So products of avidya who can never understand I am realized. And then, oh, you are realized? Oh, thank you. What is that? So he never said that. He never claimed. He never said. There is no need to say. To whom he is going to tell? So, now what we have to see here is, even that cognition also is gone. How? An example is given by Sureshwaracharya here. He says, medicine not only removes the disease, but also gets itself removed. When you take the medicine inside the system, not that the medicine will stay there and I have removed the disease, now come on. So it also gets removed. That is how it is. It gets removed by itself. There is nothing else to remove it. There is no need to remove it. There is no need for anything else to remove it. It removes the disease, it also gets removed. So that type of understanding, Adi Shankaracharya says, while a single hearing of the text will do in the case of those who are well advanced. Single hearing is enough who are well advanced. But repetition of text is necessary in the case of those who are not being spiritually advanced and are rooted in the idea of the body and senses. I am the body, I am the senses, I am the body, I am the senses, I am the body, I am the senses. So repetition is necessary. I am not the body, and all that. That is why repetition is necessary. More and more of repetition. So we have to understand how long this repetition is necessary, why it is necessary. That understanding is very important. There was one person who was wanting to learn about paragliding. Go in a plane and then take a parachute and then in the parachute and come down. So he went and spoke to an instructor. The instructor told him so many things, the theory and all was over. So a practical class, he took him up. Only 2 people were there in that plane. The pilot was, of course, should be there to drive the plane. So he told him, so he took him to a height and then he told him what has to be done. He said, once you jump, you are carrying, you are tied with the parachute. You have to pull open the rip cord. Pull. When you open that rip cord, it will unfurl. That you don't do it inside the plane. You have to jump outside and then after you are floating in the space, then you have to open. Here if you open, you can't go out only. So I said, okay. I am also following you. Don't worry, you go ahead. I will take care. So then he heard everything very clearly. First jump, first time. So he jumped. After he jumped, he pulled the ripcord. After some time, it opened, whoosh, unfurled, and then nicely is guiding. The instructor also jumped. He pulled his ripcord. It didn't open. Sometimes it happens. It did not open. Some technical fault, it got stuck up. It did not open. So when it did not open, the instructor was plummeting towards the ground. He went past this man. He was slowly gliding. Because it did not open, he went fast. When he looked at him, oh, you want a race with me? And he untied that parachute. What will you tell this person? Ignorance. Ignorance will be like that. Even when there is somebody to teach, because you should understand why it has happened. Race, racer there what? There will be nobody to race afterwards. Raise it to the ground. Dust. That's all. Erase it only completely. What race? There is no race only. So you thought that is the race and all. You have to have that clarity of understanding. Like there was one newly wed husband. And after the marriage, the moment he married, every evening he started sitting in the backyard. It was a clear backyard he had, and then he had a chair and started sitting there and started looking at the sky. Every day. Hey, the wife said, what is this you are doing? And then every day you go out in the night and sit there and go on watching the sky. So then one day after 2 weeks passed by, the wife dared to ask, what is that you are doing? Then he said, my parents told me that after the marriage I will see stars. What they meant is a different thing. Or you understood looking at stars only sitting there. Star. What stars? We'll see. Once she leaves him, then he will see only stars afterwards. Nothing else to see only. Because his stars chart, his stars, astrological stars are not good. That's why it will happen. What stars? Afterwards. So, the clarity in understanding is important. Here in this Mahavakya, in this beautiful Mahavakya, it is like this Mahavakya goes on repeating, we repeat. The cognition that comes, I am Brahman. That itself is like, it just reveals everything. It just reveals everything, unveils everything. Whatever is covering that ignorance is, the veil is lifted. It is like, one person was carrying a bag and then he met a friend. So just like that, He asked his friend, just for fun, if you tell what is there in this bag, I will give that to you. Then that friend said, if you tell like that, what can I guess? You should tell some category to which something belongs to, then I can guess. Not only you tell like that. Then he said, okay, if you tell what is there in this bag, I will give these fruits to you. Oh, fruits. Now he has to guess what fruits are there. So then he said, apples. No. Pear. No. Peach. No. Pomegranate. No. Then he went on saying, bananas. No. Then this man said, see, if you tell how many of these fruits are there in this bag, I will give them to you. Then this also. Then he tried to tell so many things. Then finally that man said, the one who is questioning only said, see, if you tell how many mangoes are there in this bag, I will give both of them to you. This statement is self-revealing. You understand? There is no need for contemplation and then repetition and all that for the listener. Is there any necessary, then if he is there, how many mangoes are there, then he give both mangoes. Both mangoes means how many? No, mangoes means what? Then he did not contemplate all that. The question itself is revealing. If you tell me how many mangoes are there, I will give both the mangoes to you. Finished. What is there also he only told. How many are there also he only told. It just reveals. That's all. The moment, it reveals only when you listen to it, when you understand it. Without that statement, it is not revealed. Without that statement, revelation doesn't happen. The revelation happens when you listen to the statement. Once you listen to the statement, no repetition is necessary. It just clears. At the same stroke, it clears. The moment you listen, it is clear. You know what is there in the bag. Finished. But if anybody doesn't know what is a mango, if anybody does not know what is both, then finished. But this is such a revealing thing, it just reveals. Akhandakara vritti, when it is repeated, it produces a cognition. But for the much advanced people, one statement is enough. Their mind is so pure, once they say it, it is. That statement is like that. I am Brahman is self-revealing. Thou art that, Tattvamasi, self-revealing. Tattvamasi is like this statement only. If you tell me how many mangoes are there, I will give both of them to you. This is revealing, it reveals. If you understand at that stroke, it is finished. Similar cognition, I am Brahman. Over. You are that, finished. No question of any more doubts. So what has to be prepared is, our mind and intellect have to be purified. All these sadhanas are for purification of mind and intellect only, not for producing Brahman. They don't produce Brahman. It is already existing. This mental knowledge will not produce Brahman. If Brahman is produced, then it is born, it will also go. It is not like that. It clears our ignorance. It purifies the mind and intellect. Once it is reached the optimum level of purification, that statement will click. It will click. Then it happens. And the masters have very beautifully said here, it is like attaining of what is attained. This realization is like attaining of what is attained. Who is that? Then they gave a common example. It is like a forgotten necklace which is worn around the neck. The necklace is there around the neck. This man woke up and thought he lost the necklace. Then he called the wife. Where did you keep it? And where did I keep it? So you must have, what do you think of a necklace, the costliest necklace, a diamond studded, come on, search for. Then she searched, and then children searched, and then brother-in-law searched, and sister-in-law searched, and then mother-in-law, then father-in-law, everybody, all rooms, all racks, all almari, everything. They pulled out, and then the cloths, all the articles are strewn everywhere, entire house. It is like a ransacked home. So all that is there. And then a small boy, his own grandchild, he will come and tell, the necklace is there. Where? Then you look, the necklace is there. So he has attained that necklace. Meaning what? Did he gain that necklace? It is already there around his neck. Only thing is, he thought he lost it. He thought he lost it. Now that thought that he lost it is lost. By that pointer, there is the necklace, that is the necklace. With that pointer, it is lost. Then he is there, oh, now I did not lose. Then all the emotion, the commotion, everybody else struggling, getting frightened and tensed up, all that was there because of ignorance. And now all that is gone. We also attained. It is not like attaining a village. Attaining a village means it is somewhere you have to walk and then attain that village. It is not like that. It is already attainment of what is attained. And then another beautiful thing the masters have said. Removing the bondage, how it is not like removing the thorn in the flesh. Not like removing the thorn with another thorn, another needle and some surgery, and then you remove the thorn and then throw it away. It is not like removing the thorn in the flesh. It is like removing the serpent on the rope. It was not there. It was seen because of ignorance, lack of knowledge of the rope. The serpent was seen. Instead of rope, he thought in that darkness that it is a snake, it is a serpent. So he saw the serpent, which was not there actually, on the substratum, which is the rope. So now the bondage was like that. Now the bondage is removed. Bondage is removed. Serpent is removed. When was it there to be removed? It was not there. It was thought that it was there. So the thought that it was there, that is ignorance. That was removed by the knowledge of the rope, substratum. Then what is that? This serpent is rope, this serpent is rope, this serpent is rope, and this serpent, rope remains. Rope only will be there. So that way, removal of bondage. When avidya is removed, the inner self's relation to the mind and other adjuncts, whether it is intellect, whether it is chitta, whether it is ego, the relationship of the inner self to all these things gets removed. The jiva never anymore remains to be a jiva. It would remain as Brahman, the pure consciousness, one without a second. The pure consciousness. It is like the masters also have said, a crystal is there, Austrian crystal. If you want Swarovski, Austrian crystal, beautiful crystal, you keep that crystal and then place a nice, small, beautiful red colored flower near it. When you place a red colored flower near to the crystal, what will happen to the crystal? White crystal will look red colored crystal. Red crystal it will become. The owner itself will be surprised, when did I get red crystal? Because it looks red, because whatever is the color of the flower, it is taken into the crystal. So now it is seen as red crystal. Once the flower is removed, the redness goes. The crystal is as pure as ever. So jiva is there, inner self. That avidya is there, like the jiva is there like the crystal, avidya is there like the color of the flower. It appears, but it did not condition. It appears for the person who is seeing, it appears that it has completely colored the crystal. So avidya is there, avidya is removed, the jiva shines as Brahman. It was white crystal before, the name of this has come, Jiva, because of this color. Once this is removed, it shines in its own pure crystal, ever shining, white, pure crystal in its own pristine, shining levels. It is like white cloth, and it has become dirty. Pure white cloth, very white, bright white cloth. And there is something that fell on it, it became dirty. Then what? Then nice detergent is used, and then the person washes it and then removes the dirt. Once the dirt is removed, the cloth is shining in its own whiteness. Similarly, the dirt of avidya and its products was seen, the malinya of dirt of avidya and its products was seen in the jiva. And now that is removed and it is as white as ever. It was white before. Because of the removal of the dirt, the whiteness is not created in the cloth. Because the dark, black dirt is removed, the whiteness is not coming into existence then. It was white only. It got stuck up with that. Then it removed. It is no more. At least in cloth, it touches the cloth. In crystal, it is no touching only. It appears. Depending upon the example, we have to understand that. So, the dirt is removed, so it becomes white as ever. So, for that inner self, which has become not different, which is now understood as not different from the Supreme Self, there is no relationship. For Brahman, as it is, there is no relationship at all with the mind, with the intellect, with the memory, with the ego, or anything else that is there. That is why the great masters who have reached this state, in the highest states of realization, when they are reveling as Brahman, they don't see any connectivity with any of these things. In Swatma Prakashika, Adi Shankaracharya ji says so beautifully, Nahi prapancho, nahi bhuta jatam, na chendriyam, pranagano na dehaha, na buddhi chittam, na mano na karta, brahmaiva satyam, paramardha rupam, nahi prapancho, nahi bhuta jatam, na chendriyam, pranagano na dehaha, na buddhi chittam, na mano na karta, brahmaiva satyam, paramardha rupam, brahmaiva satyam, paramardha rupam. Just listen. Nahi prapancho, nahi bhuta jatam, na chendriyam pranagano na dehaha, na buddhi chittam, na mano na karta, brahmaiva satyam paramardha rupam, brahmaiva satyam paramardha rupam, nahi prapancho, nahi bhuta jatam. He says in that state where the inner self has now attained the Supreme Self, where there is no connection with avidya, no connection with products of avidya, manifestations of avidya, projections of avidya, veilings of avidya, there is no connection at all. Nahi prapancho, nahi bhuta jatam. Whatever prapancha we are seeing externally, whatever that which is seen outside because of the panchikarana, because of the five elements, which has taken so many shapes and so many forms of so many sizes and so many names we have attributed to it, nahi prapancho, nahi bhuta jatam. In that states of realization, nahi prapancho, this whole creation, nahi prapancho, galaxy, nahi prapancho, universe, nahi prapancho, America, nahi prapancho, Americans, nahi bhuta jatam. There is nothing in that state of realization in the highest state except Brahman, nothing else. All were appearances in a crystal, like the color of the flower. The appearance was there, appearance is no more there. The dirt on the cloth was there, it is no more there. The appearance is no more appearing because he knows what is crystal. For him, that color is not going to color the crystal. He knows what is the original nature of crystal. Even when that color might be there, he doesn't want to identify with that color. He knows what is the original state of the crystal. Nahi prapancho, nahi bhuta jatam. There are no pranas, there are no jivas, there is nobody else. When he has seen only the non-dual Brahman, one without a second, where is the second? Where are the multiplicity? Where is all these things? Nahi prapancho, nahi bhuta jatam, na chendriyam, pranagano na dehaha. Prapancha itself is not there. Where is the question of coming back to Indriyas? Where are the sense organs? There are no sense organs. The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. What are you talking about the sense organs? In that state, when Brahman knows himself, by himself, remains as himself, that is it. There is nothing else, no other second, no multiplicity, no nanatva, no aneka, nothing is there. Anyatva, nanatva, anekatva, nothing is there. Nahi prapancho, nahi bhuta jatam, na chendriyam pranagano na dehaha. The prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, the main pranas. Naga, Kurma, Dhananjaya, Devadatta, Krukara, the Upapranas. None of these pranas are there. All these are products of avidya. Products of avidya that is identical with Maya. That alone is not there. I shine as the supreme self-revealing, unending, akhanda, ananda swarupa, the blissful nature. So where is the question of anything else? Na chendriyam pranagano na dehaha. The deha also is not there, which is the permutation combination of 5 elements. That also is not there. Na buddhi chittam na mano na karta. The buddhi. Bodhavya lakshana buddhihi. Buddhi, bodhavya lakshana buddhihi, meaning bodha means nishchayaha, meaning nishchayatmika buddhi. It means what? That which is of the nature of a settled or firm conviction. Please understand, what is buddhi? Bodhavya lakshana buddhihi. That which is of the nature of settled or firm conviction or firm determination or firm resolution or fixed aim. This is the beautiful definition that is being given here. Firm, resolution, determination, conviction, settled conviction or fixed aim. That which is of the nature of this Bodhavya Lakshana Buddhihi. And Chidabhasa is very close here because that reflection of the Brahman is here. That is called as reflection of consciousness. Chit, Abhasa, either semblance of consciousness like the space example or the reflection of consciousness like the light example. Both the things have to be understood here. So, semblance. So, here happens the Vijnanam, the real Vijnanam in the body. So, the intellect. So, Buddhi is that. Then, Chittam. Chetayitavya Lakshanam Chittam. Chetayitavya Lakshanam Chittam means that part of the internal organ or Antakarana, that part of the internal organ which has a transaction with the object of knowledge, object of contemplation, object of meditation, object of imagination. Chetayitavya Lakshanam Chittam. That part of internal organ. It is a part of internal organ. It is a part of Antakarana. Buddhi, Manas, Chitta, Ahankara. Chitta is a part of Antakarana, which has got an interaction in connection with. That interaction is in connection with object of knowledge, object of contemplation, object of meditation, object of imagination. Whatever is there, it goes and then interacts with it, in connection with it. Because it is already has registered, stored so much inside. It is the storehouse, go down all the impressions, whatever we thought, whatever we said, whatever we did, all are there stored. So that is the chitta. And then mind, na mano. Manas sankalpa vikalpatmakam cheti mano lakshanam. Manas sankalpa vikalpatmakam cheti mano lakshanam. Meaning, real nature or character or quality of the mind is, real nature, character, quality of the mind is to create or entertain a thought and another thought and another thought and another thought. Like that, there are so many thoughts, and then I get identified with the thought and I become thoughted, whatever it is. So, that also, I am not that. Then, ahankara, abhimana lakshano ahankaraha. That which says, I, not I, mine, not mine, this is all I and mine, that is all not I and not mine. Oh, you know all that. So, Adi Shankaracharya here says, Na buddhi chittam na mano na karta. I am not the buddhi, there is no buddhi also there. It is not, I am not the buddhi itself is not there. Chittam also is not there. Ahankara is not, the karta, the doer, the ahankara, the mind, none of them are there, meaning antakarana is not there. Na buddhi chittam na mano na karta. What else there then? What is that which is there? Brahmaiva satyam paramardha rupam. Brahmaiva satyam paramardha rupam. Brahman alone is true. That truth alone is there. Brahma eva satyam. Brahmaiva satyam. Brahman alone shines. How? Paramardha rupam, as the absolute truth. Brahman alone shines as the absolute truth. Avidya, Maya, products of avidya. Nothing is there. Vikshepa, projection, veiling. Nothing, avarana, nothing is there. Everything is gone because of the removal of ignorance. Whole show, the magic show ends. The stage is clear. The play ends. The light is there. Vidyaranya Swami gives this example in Natakadeepa Prakarana and Panchadashi. So, the light is there on the stage. In the light, so many people come and then utilize the light, and then they play all roles, this role, that role. Audience also come, applaud, so much of fun, so many emotions, so many awards, reward, this, that, all transaction. Everything is done. Everybody leaves. The light continues to shine. When all were there, it was illumining them. It is shining. When nobody is there, still it is shining. That continues to shine. It did not jump and dance because people came. It did not feel sad because they were displaying sad emotions. It did not dance because they were dancing. It did not jump in joy because they were displaying jumping joys in the play. And it did not feel so elated because people were applauding. It did not feel depressed because everybody left it alone and left away. It is shining. Like that, the whole creation comes in front of it by its own sankalpa. It is there shining and illumining everything. When everything is gone, it is shining by itself. Brahmaiva satyam paramardha rupam nahi prapancho nahi bhuta jatam na chendriyam pranagano na dehaha na buddhi chittam na mano na karta brahmaiva satyam paramardha rupam brahmaiva satyam paramardha rupam. It happens only because of the continuous contemplation, constant contemplation of the Mahavakyas that are there in the Upanishad. But what happens is, the ego that is there, that ego will not allow us, because that will want to stay there. It will never understand when there are lessons after lessons after lessons are taught. It doesn't want to understand. In a forest, there were animals. Balavihar class. You all become Balavihar students now. So, in a forest, there was a lion. Do you like lion? Did you see lion? And there were other animals. What animals were there? You ask a Balavihar child, they go on telling. So many animals. So what animals were there? You need not tell the story, they will only tell what animals were there and all. So, there were so many animals. So, the lion was there. And one day, the lion called for a meeting. All the animals, most of them came there, and then The lion went to a rabbit and said, "Who is greatest? Who is the greatest?" Rabbit said, "Lord, you are the greatest. You are the greatest." Then it went near a cat. "Who is the greatest?" "Meow, you are the greatest." Then it went near a deer. "Who is the greatest?" "You are the greatest, God." Like that it was going to few things. Then it came across an elephant. It went and said, "Who is the greatest?" That day elephant was in peculiar mood. It immediately, with its trunk, held the lion, lifted it and banged it against it. Thaba, thaba, thaba. There is a big trunk tree, huge trunk, strong trunk tree. The patak, 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 1 dozen times, hit against that trunk and then threw it onto the ground like a stone. The lion fell. You can understand what would have happened to it. Then it got up and said, "You don't need to be that nasty if you don't know the answer." Even then, that will not understand. आप और हम और तुम, you and I and you, as egos are like that. Same thing. How many times the worldly experiences will tell us that you are nothing, useless, trash. You can do nothing. There are occasions which we experience in life that we can't do anything, rendered helpless. Nothing we can do at such occasions. Then it will not learn the lesson. It will go on. That is ego. That is why it has to be tackled. That is why it has to be dealt with very beautifully. With the help of scriptural knowledge, when we deal with it, then only we will be able to handle it properly. Otherwise, we will get into delusion, we will be following whatever it dictates. That alone will be our way of living. I am the ego, I am limited, I am this, and then something gives me pleasure, something gives me happiness, something gives me success, and think that alone will be there, then that will change, and then we undergo so many other things, and then again that also will not learn only. As ego, we are always sandwiched between these opposites. There will be the experiences coming in turns and turns and turns. So, the best thing is, it has to be taught to this ego, what is the true nature? What is the true nature of the real self? The inner self which is illumining it. What is that nature? As an ego, it had faced so many difficulties, so many miseries, and so many relationships which are really trying to give a big hope and promise, and later on they dash all the hopes, one after the another. So this ego is going on suffering. And temporarily external miseries are removed. But temporarily external miseries are removed because something else comes. Well, that again misery comes. Until and unless the innermost misery is removed. That innermost misery is because of ignorance, of not knowing the true nature of one's own self, not trying to know somebody else. Ego always tries to know somebody else. That's what you want to know. What does the person is telling? What are the nature? What are they thinking? How are they doing? That is what it is, always ego. Always ego is interested in these things only. And that fellow is... But all this information will not give any help to us. The actual information that is to be given is the knowledge of ourself. That ego has to be taught this. The intellect has to purify and assimilate these values. And then slowly, because it is all Antakarana, one package as 4 components, 4 different functional names, that will understand. As the intellect receives so much of this knowledge and constantly, it will understand. That is why this actual Swarupa is to be taught. What is that? Again, in Swatma Prakashika, Adi Shankaracharya ji. The earlier sloka was sloka number 17 in Swatma Prakashika. Now this sloka is sloka number 18 in Swatma Prakashika by Adi Shankaracharya. Sarvam sukham viddhi sudukha nashat sarvancha sadrupam asatya nashat chidrupameva pratibhanayuktam tasmadakhandam paramatmarupam sarvam sukham viddhi sudukha nashat sarvam sukham viddhi sudukha nashat sarvancha sadrupam asatya nashat chidrupameva pratibhanayuktam tasmadakhandam paramatmarupam tasmadakhandam paramatmarupam. Just listen. Sarvam sukham viddhi sudukha nashat sarvam cha sadrupam asatya nashat chidrupameva pratibhanayuktam tasmadakhandam paramatmarupam tasmadakhandam paramatmarupam. Adi Shankaracharya ji says, Sarvam sukham viddhi sudukha nashat. The sudukha, the innermost, interiormost dukkha, atyantika dukkha, the atyantika dukkha which is there, if it is removed, the atyantika dukkha is there because of ignorance, not knowing the true nature itself is the greatest dukkha. That if it is removed, sarvam cha sadrupam, what happens is sarvam sukham viddhi sudukha nashat. Sarvam sukham viddhi. Once it is gone, you will know sarvam sukham viddhi. Everything is happiness. That is why a realized master, after first stage of anybody is everything is, this is traveling, that is attached, this is attached, I hope this will make me complete, that will make me complete, this will give me life, that will give me life, no, it will take away my life, that has taken away my life, already half life is gone with that, a quarter life is gone with this. All that we will be telling in life. That is first stage. After we gain the knowledge, then we get into do the practice, sincere practice, and then we attain to that level where nahi prapancho nahi bhutajatam. We get into that stage. Then after reveling completely in that, then thereafterwards what? Whatever is seen, if at all that sage opens the eyes and sees, everything is not different from Brahman, because Brahman alone is the reality. They don't see what is appearing. If a flower is there, they don't get stuck up with the form and name. They see what is inside that. The Astibhati Priya is seen, not the Namarupa. They go inside. The existence, the knowledge, the bliss is identified. The Sat, the Chit, the Ananda is identified in everything. That is why they are always happy. Everything is happiness to them. Uncaused happiness. For them to attain happiness, there is no reason, there is no experience, there is nothing. Because their nature is happiness. They are always happy. But they are having compassion towards the people who are suffering. They have love and compassion. They see everything as nothing but Leela of Brahman. That's all, manifestation of Brahman. Finished. They see everything as God. Nothing is different from God. Everything is pure consciousness. They see only consciousness. It is a Leela of consciousness. That's all. That is why with that love and compassion they run and then work in this world and run around and saving the people. Everything is manifestation of God. It is God alone. Because there is only one Brahman, there is only non-dual Brahman, there is only secondless Brahman, one without a second. That Brahman alone, if it is there, what else it can be? It cannot be anything else other than Brahman. But this can't be the starting state of knowledge. You have to get rid of the ego. You have to get out of the intellectual bondage. You have to get out of all these things. So, this is unreal, this is appearance, all that is told. To get out! And then once you are in that nature as Brahman, then everything is seen as Brahman. Then you will not be trapped. Then you will not fall. Everything is seen as Brahman. Where is something other? In the beginning, everything is Brahman, so my Murkatva is Brahman, my Ajnana also is there, also is Brahman, my desire also is Brahman, my fighting also, my Desha also, my hatred also, everything. Let them be there nicely, comfortably. And I will become more rotten. That is why all that is nullified attains a stage where there is nothing. And that nothingness is everythingness. That Brahman alone shines. Then when they come out and then work in this world, they see only God, nothing else other than God. God alone in this form. If it is there, it is God's form. That is a different state. These are the stages which sadhaka goes through. Sarvam sukham viddhi sudukha nashat. Once that innermost dukkha, everything is a happiness, everything is a joy. Because everything is seen. They don't see the outer layers. They penetrate into that layers. Behind the form, behind the name, their vision goes, their sight goes. That will be revealed to them. Everywhere the Satchidananda is revealed. Name and form is an appearance. Crystal is revealed. The color is an appearance. White cloth is revealed. The dirt is an appearance. The design is an appearance. That is always revealed for them. Ever revealing. Because Brahman is ever revealing. And they have no ignorance, they have nothing else. They are also that. So they ever reveal. Everywhere. Every unit is seen only as God. They don't see anything else other than God. That is the state, highest state. So when you go to them, they see that you are God's manifestation. They may not tell you so. Their experience, if they tell you, then you will sit on their head only. I am God, so now you listen, you become my chela now. You become my assistant, stenographer, or a clerk, or a servant in my house. He will become in love. In love, he will become servant also, but not in this egoistic domination. He will not. So that is a different level. Sarvam sukham viddhi sudukha nashat, sarvam cha sadrupam asatya nashat. Once this asatya, untruth, is removed, sarvam cha sadrupam asatya nashat, everything is seen as sadrupam, the satrupa. Chidrupameva pratibhana yuktam, it is nothing but pure consciousness, which is shining, full of shine and splendor. That is one meaning. Chidrupameva pratibhana yuktam. Pratibha means appearance, pratibha means reflection, pratibha means image. So, when all these images are removed, Chidrupam alone is remaining. That also is another meaning. Because the earlier sentences said it is removed, so this also can be said. Pratibhasika satta is removed. The appearances in dream, that is pratibhasika satta. Waking world is vyavaharika satta, and ultimate is paramarthika satta. So pratibhasika satta is removed. What is there? That which makes this shine alone shines. That consciousness. That is one way. So another way is that Chidrupam alone is full of shine. That Chidrupa, the consciousness, is full of shine, splendor. Pratibhana yuktam. Tasmad akhandam paramatma rupam. Unbroken continuity. Akhandam, unending, infinite, is the Paramatma Rupam. The form of Bhagavan is unending, infinite, unbroken, continuity. Everywhere, in everything it is continuous. So, it is said, Sadrupatvam Nama. What is Sadrupa? Very beautifully said in our Shastra. Sadrupatvam nama kenapi abadhyamanatvena kalatreye api ekarupena vidyamanatvam uchyate. Kalatreye api ekarupena vidyamanatvam uchyate. Abadhyamanatvena. So what it is, Sadrupam means, see, Jagat cannot be Sadrupam because it cannot be alike in all the three periods of time. It cannot be in the same form. It cannot be in the same form in all three periods of time. Its forms change. Our form changes. World's forms changes. Our mental forms changes. Everything change. What is Sat? That is Ekarupa and Nirvikara. That is Ekarupa, of the same form. Nirvikara, no modifications, no changes in it. That which is of the Ekarupa, same form, without any modification, that alone is Atman. Atman is Ekarupa and Nirvikara in all the three periods of time. Alike in all the three periods of time. You want your friend to be alike in all the three periods of time. Have the same love, have the same honesty, have the same affection, have the same sincerity, have the same attachment, have the same bond, have the same closeness. You are in for a stroke from the world. I am not saying healthy, connected stroke. I am saying that stroke from the person. That's all. He will give one kick. Sooner or later. Everything in this world is like that. It changes. Change itself will shock us. We don't want it to change because we are established in a particular relationship. We want it to be permanent. It cannot be permanent. It will never be permanent. It has to change. It will change. It shall change. And when it changes, we are in for a shock. Why? It cannot be Ekarupa. How we can foolishly think it will be Ekarupa? How we can think it will be all the same every time? It cannot be. The very person is attached to his mind or her mind. The mind is constantly changing forms. How can that person who is attached and who is identified with the ego and the mind which is constantly changing, how can the person's behavior be constant? There is no constant factor in this world except Atman. For some time we can fool ourselves and they can also fool us. Not for all the time. Change will happen. I am not saying they will leave and go. Change will happen. Some thought, some expression, something which you don't like. Finish. That is enough that day. That is enough to disturb and make you sleepless. So, Sadrupa is that which is in all the three periods of time, Ekarupa, Nirvikara. That is only Atman, nothing else. Now Chidrupa. Chidrupatvam nama sadhanantara nirapekshaya swayam prakashamanam sat swasmin aropita sarva padartha avabhasakatvam chidrupam uchyate. Swasmin aropita sarva padartha avabhasakatvam. What? See, first thing is swayam prakashamanam sat. Chidrupa, the consciousness, the form of consciousness or chit is Swayam prakashamanam sat, that which shines by itself without depending upon any other thing. It doesn't depend upon any other thing. For any other object in the world to shine, it depends upon light. That which shines by itself without depending upon any other thing. First point. Second one. Swasmin aropita sarva padartha avabhasakatvam. Whatever is superimposed on it, it will illumine that. It will illumine all that is superimposed on it. All the things that are superimposed on it. That is, ever shines with its eternal changeless nature. It ever shines with its eternal changeless nature. It is self-luminous, doesn't depend upon anything for its luminosity. Anything is superimposed on it, it will illumine that. That is why avidya superimposes itself. Avidya products superimposes all the products of avidya, world, universe, creation, everything is superimposed on Brahman, Chitta, and it illumines. Self-luminous. It illumines the mind, it illumines the emotions in the mind, it illumines the content of the thought in the mind, it illumines the mind, it illumines the ego, it illumines the intellect, it illumines the chitta, it illumines the body, it illumines everything. Self-luminous. Once you know that you are that self-luminous, you no longer depend upon these dependent things. You are that Chidrupa, you are that consciousness, you are that self-luminous, you illumine everything in this universe. Because of you, everything is illumined. And it is that has to be understood, and you have to understand that you are that, not the ego, which needs some other illumination, not the ego, which is only becomes bright when somebody praises, only becomes bright when some pleasurable experience is there, only becomes bright when everything is conducive, when there is ignorant sleep, only then it is bright. Otherwise it is not bright only. That is why people say, oh, you are looking good today. That means you were looking ugly yesterday. We are so happy. But you will look good every day when you know that you are the consciousness, chitta. Then, Ananda Rupatvam Nama, Parama Premaspadatvam, Nitya Niratishayatvam, Ananda Rupatvam Uchyate. See here, Ananda Rupa means to be in the form of Ananda, bliss. Now please understand, we will understand it in a different way. It is being eternal and excessively fond to all. To be of excessive fondness to all is also known as Ananda Rupa. To be of excessive fondness to all. Everyone adores, loves, which is the highest. Everyone loves. Now see, in relationships, we will love people as long as they are conducive to us, as long as they are saying ha to ha, na to na, everything is very nice, very fine. We will be thinking we are living in a heaven. Everything is nice. So, we are very happy with everybody, we are giving love and we are finding pleasure, happiness and all that. Then, when they don't give pleasure, when they don't give happiness, when they don't say yes in my yes, no in my no, every day, every moment, there is an opportunity for us to see this. How many times we see with our own people, when they don't say yes on to that, when they don't give us pleasure, when they refuse to give happiness, when they give something else, then what happens? At that time, do we say, still I love you? I hate you. No, I'm hurt because of you. I'm disturbed because of you. Why? Even though we might have told them, I always love you. No single second in my clock clicks, tuck, tuck, tuck. No single beat in my heart beats, without thinking of you. They also said, you also said. You believed, they believed. Neither the heart knows this, nor the clock knows this. I am not saying there is no love and affection, there is, but not this much of exaggeration. This is Akhandakara Vritti only. If you can love your beloved like this, you will realize the true nature. Unending, continuous. So, what happens is, when they are not okay, then we will not be able to love them. We will feel sad, we will feel disturbed, we will feel hurt, we will feel bad, we will lost, let down, abandoned, rejected. All these feelings we experience in relationships. One simple statement again, I feel abandoned, rejected, lost, lonely. Why? Because I love myself more. As long as you give happiness to me, I love you. Honestly. So, the moment you are not giving happiness to me, pleasure to me, and behaving conducively to me, I cannot, because I suffer. I suffer means what? Whom I love? I love myself most. The moment you are not giving me this, meaning you are not making me happy, I can't love you anymore. I love myself, I suffer. So in that suffering, I am disturbed. I show what is my other nature, the double action. So I will show all that. And springing all surprises on the people. So that's what happens. And see, in every living being, starting from a worm, that creature, up to the greatest creature in this universe, everybody loves their own self. Because everybody wants to live. Even a worm wants to live. It is common in everyone. Everything wants to live. It's common. Every single living being wants to live. Even though the person who is wanting to end his life because only he is unable to live conducively. That is why. Actually wants to live. And everybody loves oneself. So everybody loves oneself and wants to live means everybody loves oneself. That living wants to be continuous. If everybody is in love with oneself, that means it is the highest. So that which is the highest is full of love and is full of happiness. Because everybody loves oneself and that is full of love. And everybody, when loving oneself, is very happy. You understand? I want to live continuously. I love myself and I want to be happy. And everybody loves the other also, he is very happy if somebody loves me. So it is actually that love, it is actually that joy. That love itself is the joy. And I want to live forever. That live, love, joy is there in me. Because it is my nature to live always. Some places the posters are seen in America, live, love and laugh. That is joy. So live, love and joy. So this is the form of Ananda inside. It is Ananda Swarupa. Everybody has that inside. That is Sat Swarupa, Chit Swarupa, Ananda Swarupa. That is Satchidananda. I love others only when they love me. And I love myself. It's common in everything and I want to live, continues to live because I love it. And that is the highest. So once we know that inside, innermost core is full of bliss and joy. Because it continues to live. It is full of love. And that is why it is of extreme fondness to everybody. What is the extreme fondness thing? Most fondest thing? It is ourself, my own self. Myself. That is the most likable thing for me, for everybody. Why? Because it is the source of happiness. That births. That much prosperous, wealthy treasure. But in the waking world, this man is struggling for a job and he got a small job where he is struggling to make the both ends meet. A small job, little bit of money, minimum wages, act. So minimum wages. And in the dream, he is dreaming as a beggar. He dreams as a beggar. Waking world, he lives as a poor fellow. Why? He doesn't know that there is a treasure. He do not know. The moment he knows that there is treasure in his own house, which is so prosperous, once he unearths it, he knows it. Knowing itself is enough. Then there is all this dreaming of a beggar, all this living the life of a poor fellow, everything will end. When we know that we are not different from Satchidananda Swarupa, that is there well inside us, meaning the mind, go inside the mind, go inside the name and form. In every name and form inside, this Sat, Chid, Ananda Rupa is there. That is why Mahatmas don't stop their sight or vision at the name and form. They go behind the name and penetrate this form and see what is that because of which the form and name exist. That is Satchidananda. That is ever shining, that is ever Ekarupa, Nirvikara, that is ever full of joy, it is ever living. Ever living, ever full of joy, Ananda, ever conscious, self-luminous, ever illumining everything, Chid, Ekarupa, Nirvikara, always existing in all periods of time, Sat, Satchidananda Rupa. Once it is known, it is a matter of knowing. Once we know, not only in us we see Satchidananda, in everything we see Satchidananda. That is a different state where we see Satchidananda. We don't even see anything else other than Satchidananda. Own Sat, Sit, Ananda. Everywhere, in everything. Even in the forms that are created by avidya. Even through the form, we see the formless. Through the form, the formless. Through the name, the nameless. Which is behind as a substratum. Which is the consciousness. That is why in Upanishads they said, Tata! They only used that word, Tata. That's all. What can you say about that? That's what we have to understand. We are of that nature. Everything in this world is of that nature. Inside everything, this is it. They don't stop at the waves of the ocean. They penetrate into the depth, the bed of the sea, the bed of the ocean. Then they know it is all one. Like that, these masters are asking us to develop that vision. Sarvam sukham vidhi sudukha nashat, sarvam cha sadrupama satya nashat, chidrupameva pratibhana yuktam, tasmad akhandam paramatma rupam, tasmad akhandam paramatma rupam. In everything, akhandam paramatma rupam. I see Paramatma inside, I see Paramatma outside, I see Paramatma everywhere. I see everything as the Leela of Paramatma. When I see Paramatma, I don't have a question why this is like this. In that states of highest understanding, when I see only Paramatma, everything else is an appearance. I don't question why this is like this. I just join the Leela of Paramatma. And I just promote the Leela of Paramatma. I work for the Leela of Paramatma. I enjoy the Leela of Paramatma. Because I see only Paramatma, then where is the question of not enjoying? I may be compassionate, I may be very kind, but I enjoy every moment. That is the state where you and I have to go. It is available well within us. It is not anywhere, no mall, no country, no continent, no external thing can have it. It is your own. Aapka baap ka maal hai. It is your father's property which is written on your name. Like that. It is your own property. It is your own. You are that. That is where the masters come down from the greatest heights of realization, because we are struggling here. From their standpoint, when they were evolving, they were also attached. When they reveled in the truth, they saw no prapancha. Now they are fully aware of the Brahman as the complete nature of them and nature of everything in this world. So they only see love. They only come and serve. What a beautiful state it is. So that way, we also have the opportunity by their grace. May we try to attain that highest level. Tomorrow, we will try to see Savikalpa Samadhi and Nirvikalpa Samadhi and try to understand how it is a thrill beyond stillness. Day after, we will try to see Jivan Mukta, a man who has gone beyond. And if he has attained that realization, if he moves around in this world, how he moves about, how he lives, how he perceives, how he functions. What is the state of understanding? That is Jivan Mukta. The state of Jivan Mukta. The state of the man who has attained liberation. Man or woman, whatever it is. Very important. As important as it is today. The Brahmakara Vritti, Akhandakara Vritti. Yesterday's was the basis for today's easy understanding. So may we all, by their grace, progress towards the ultimate understanding through this firm intellectual understanding. May the grace of Bhagavan Adi Shankara be there upon us. Today is many Chinmaya Mission centers in India and other places have celebrated Adi Shankara Jayanti. Yesterday was Gurudev's Jayanti. Today is birthday of Adi Shankaracharya, who has given such beautiful pointers. The pointers themselves will instill so much of divine vibrations in us because they are born out of that level of non-dual reality level. His experience, his energy, his love and his intelligence, his compassion is there in these slokas. When we chant them, when we try to contemplate upon them, we will receive all that energy from that levels. That's why it touches our hearts. It is his energy. It is the energy that is pointed out in that sloka, that pointed also, Brahman also, that grace is there in that. So the one who has given to the world so much of a beautiful ladder to cross over this ocean of samsara, the beautiful bridge to go over this and to attain one's own highest nature. To him we all salute, offer our prostrations and seek his grace and blessings. We offer our salutations at the feet of Sri Adi Shankaracharya Ji. Oh. भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ।